This is the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, and my wife and I decided to drive up there from San Bernardino, California to Portland, which is about a 16-hour drive. What we decided to do was kind of split the trip in half and stay overnight, and we stayed in Corning, California, and then from there made our way to the rest of the way to Portland, and where we had booked a hotel near the event, not at the event. We trying to save money for the actual games as opposed to the hotel stay. Now, I was able to disperse with the rest of my 7 copies of the game G-Pack Dementia Defender. Gave them out to a couple of random Commodore 64 fans, and then I gave the remaining ones to the Commodore 64 Computer Club that was in attendance in the arcade area. The rest of this video is sort of broken up into the attendees and my experience, the panels, and in the last part of the video was I kind of show the swag and some of the signatures that I was able to procure in my trip, so hope you enjoy. This was a particularly good year to go, being that it was the 40th anniversary of the Atari, and so there were a lot of Atari themed things that Portland, the PRGE, put together, like t-shirts. The program was from Defender. Your badge that you wore was also based on Defender. And there were a lot of guests here, and I think there's always a lot of guests, but this is only the first time I've been at the PRGE, and it was a really great place to go for if you're into retro gaming. There were a lot of new releases of games that were on sale here at Portland this year. Here's the ones from Atari Age right here. Draconian, Space Cactus Canyon, Super Cobra Arcade, which I play tested. The Jeff Minter Classics. And yeah, I was able to purchase a lot of these. I didn't get all of them, but I did purchase a lot of these games. They span a lot of different systems. And I enjoyed going to this conference immensely. Not only was there a lot you could do and purchase at the booths, but there were a lot of panels and celebrities in retro gaming that were there. As you can see, that scrolls by. Almost all these people on here, or all of them, had panels. So let's take a look at the panel, the people that were here. So look at this. You had David Crane and Gary Kitchen. Now, the problem I had with the panels was that there were so many of them that they overlapped in a couple instances. So I missed that particular one because I was signed up, or not signed up, but I went and watched another one, or you know. So you had the History of the Magic, which I also missed. You had the Howard Scott Warshaw, which I attended. The Joe DeCure, which I attended. Old Consoles Never Die, which I attended. That was a good one. It had Tim Lapatino, who is the author of The Art of Atari. Howard Scott Warshaw, Daryl Spice Jr., who did Space Rocks and a bunch of homebrews for the 2600, and also has for sale Draconian, which is on for sale right now or very soon in the Atari Age. John Champeau, who did Super Cobra Arcade, which is going to be for sale soon in the store, the Atari Age store, and Al Yaruso, or Yaruso, Al Yaruso, and that was a really good panel. There were so many panels here to choose from, pretty much all day Saturday and Sunday. Pamela Smith, Rob Zedebel, and Ed Rotberg, Ron Milner, Steve Hendricks and the Art of Atari. That was a good panel. I was at Todd Frye. I was at Todd Frye's panel. He's a very interesting man that he is. I didn't get to see Ben Heck. That would have been interesting. It's just because some of the panels overlapped. I was also at the 8-Bit Guys panel. He is so smart, so nice, and his panel was all about his video game that's coming out pretty soon called Planet X, which is a mix, kind of a cross between the Ultima series of games, and how did he put it, StarCraft or something like that. So he said no one's ever done it before, and that's what he wanted to do, was something that had never been done before and break new ground in that capacity. But at the same time, will it be fun? It has yet to be seen, he said. So that was a really interesting panel. Now, initially on his YouTube channel, he said he was going to try to release the game in a cartridge format, but restrictions on memory and stuff has precluded him from doing so. So it's probably going to be on a floppy disk type of a release. Then all of these panels here, there's just so many. But pretty much, there was Metal Jesus, Rocks, and they had all these people there. Now, I wasn't in that panel, so I mean, I wasn't in that audience of that panel, so I didn't get to see this one. Most of these I didn't get to see, unfortunately, but I got to pick and choose, and that was the beauty of being there at the PRGE. So you got to pick and choose which panels would interest you the most. So this is showing the long walk once you're in the convention into the gaming area, and the escalators that you have to go up. It's really a ginormous place with restaurants and all kinds of amenities built in, with all kinds of meeting rooms and auditoriums that people can talk and have their panels in. And then as you approach the ticket booth over here, that's one of the ticket booths. There's actually a couple more before you get to this point, where you can either buy your tickets right on the spot or claim your ticket that you've already prepaid for. And then they have all this artsy stuff hanging from the walls, I mean from the ceiling and things like that. And that was kind of a neat one. And it took a few shots from in there. And this was like an advertisement, I believe, once you first get into the convention. And this is kind of the first day when I got there, the arcade area was all set up and ready to go, and there were, free play. This was like an Xbox, networked Xbox type games that were set up, and then there was free play arcade. And when you first get there, there wasn't as many people as was there Saturday and Sunday. This was cool. It kind of mimicked back in the 70s the furniture layout with the couch and your Atari with the little table up front, and it was set up right there playing Berserk and I think Asteroids. And then over in the back of the arcade area, there was a little booth here selling Tetris things. It was a pleasure talking to these two. They were selling t-shirts and all kinds of Tetris, little lunch pails. And I told her, I think I'm a little too old for a lunch pail. Oh, no, you're not. No, you're not. And lots of little gadgets. I am a huge Tetris fan, though. It's one of the greatest video games ever. So it's probably the best video game. Just the most simplistic idea. And then over, just around different areas, they had different things set up. Over here is a bunch of NES. Now these were all for the Tetris World Championship. So these people here were practicing. You weren't allowed into that area, I think, unless you were part of this World Championship. It was fenced off. And then I thought it was a neat little GameCube that just shows your display. This kind of little Game Boy, I said GameCube, but it's a Game Boy exhibit right here where people were playing Tetris. And then you can see some of the arcade games people were playing. And the whole time there's music playing in the background. And so, oh yeah, in the area right outside where you walk in, over in the bottom left area is where the exhibits are, over where it says A. They were closed on that particular time when this photo was taken. But you can see that ball. This swings on a chain or on a line. It spins, it rolls back and forth really smoothly. It was kind of really neat. And then about this time, a guy comes out on a unicycle, and I'll show that. And this is Rev. His real name is John from Intellivision Revolution, who sells all these crazy Intellivision games. And you can see Oregon Bound right here. And also in the background is neighborhood games, and Tim Neighbor runs that. And off to the right here is C-Mart from the Intellivisionaries. And he was making an appearance. The rest of the Intellivisionaries weren't there, so unfortunately this year. And then on this shot at the Atari Age booth, that's Al from Atari Age. And look at all the stock he has and all the games. And they had one of the largest booths at this place. And you can see, by the way, that's the back of Tim Neighbor from Neighborhood Games. You could see all the different booths, and it wasn't that crowded at this point. And then back to the Atari Age booth, they had this huge monitor set up in portrait mode here, and it was displaying different things. And they have these really large posters, and I talked to Al about that and said, hey, why aren't you selling those? He's like, I got so many of those. He's like, trust me, one of these days I'm gonna get those and we'll start selling some of those. I was like, oh, that'd be cool. I told him I'd be a customer. I don't know what I would do with them actually, but my wife would probably kill me if I try to put them up. See how the booth, it stretches down pretty far and then it stretches back off to the right side. And they had a ton of these Commodore 1702 monitors. That's all. You can't mix Commodore and Atari. And then when we got to the panels, right here is on the left is Steve Hendricks. He did the artwork for a lot of video games, including Defender. And then to the right of him, of course, is Tim Lapatino from the Art of Atari fame, among other things, what he does. And so I took a few shots while I was in there. Those were kind of zoom-ins. That's his Bruce Jenner look-alike picture. And then I thought I'd be kind of artsy and see if I could get his caricature in the shadows there. And oh, by the way, he's such a nice guy. I had a great time talking to him and about his artwork. He was set up over in the museum, the 40 Atari museum that they had. It was right next door to this panel. Now this is the 8-bit guy, or aka David Murray. He was doing his panel and it was covering his game that's coming out, Planet X. And Planet X 2. And he's talking all about the technical requirements of the game and what the limitations were on the Commodore 64, how much memory, what kind of things you had to do and the constraints that he had. And then he did a demo of his game, and that was really, really cool. And then he had some slideshows. So he spent a lot of time on that, and that was a big panel. And then here's Al and Howard Scott Warshaw talking a little bit before their panel. And I just took a photo. And then next to Al and Howard is John Champeau from Champ Games. And then next to him is Daryl Spice Jr., who did Draconian and Space Rocks. And they were all up there on their panel. And that was a nice panel here, and Tim Lapatino was the moderator. You can see them all there. And then in the museum, I took a few. I didn't take a whole lot of pictures. There was people in there, looked like they were taking so many pictures and video of everything. And I took a little bit, but the rare games in here, like Air Raid and Music Machine, all these games that, if they're within reach, they're very expensive. And then I had never seen this Activision console. I thought that was really cool. It was behind glass. And then Howard Scott Warshaw had another panel where he spoke by himself and covered a topic. Right here is basically, this is Khan's booth, the NES developer. And this was neat. It was a really tall Tetris game. I've never seen anything like it. And I didn't take a shot of it, but the back side of it was really interesting. And that's yours truly with Howard Scott Warshaw. Got to meet him. Very, very nice guy. And this was the cosplay tournament that was going on. It was kind of later in the evening. And so we took a few pictures here of some of the cosplayers. And so, yeah, I took a few shots. And some of those came out not so good. But that was fun to watch the cosplay. This is Michael Thomason from Good Deal Games. I got to meet him, and such a nice guy. I mean, yeah, just unbelievably nice, and just has so much knowledge of video games. And I was surprised he didn't have a larger booth. But what he had was cool, and I picked up some stuff from him. And again, Al from Atari Age, a great booth, very, very nice guy also, and talked to him about several things, and that was awesome to be able to see someone in person that you've kind of been interacting with a lot over the years. And this was Con Games, and I'm looking down. This was the developer, and I'm holding the games I just bought from him that day. And he was very, very nice and signed. He made sure I got whatever out of the box copies of games. He made sure the ones that I got were flawless, and I appreciated that. And I didn't even ask him. I just, hey, I want to buy one of your games. And then on Sunday, this was the Tetris World Championship, and these guys were so good at Tetris. You know, and you can see the little brackets on the screen here. And it was like a professional tournament, like tennis. You know, Tetris kind of. The word Tetris was derived from tennis, tetra and tennis. It was fun watching that. And then here I took a shot with Rev in the middle, John, and C-Mart over on the right. And we had a really cool, good conversation. This is Todd Frye. He had a panel, and he's a very interesting gentleman. He very intelligent. And this was the line to get his signature, and over on the left is the Atari Museum, and got to meet him, had him sign my Pac-Man game. This is Joe DeCure, very intelligent. He's like a college professor now. He teaches students, very lucky students that have him as a professor, because he actually lived in that era and got to see firsthand how it was at the beginning. And this was the last panel that I went to with Rob Zadibel and Ed Rotberg. Very interesting gentlemen. They're more on the Atari 8-bit side. So that wraps up the photos. These were the bags they were handing out at the PRGE Expo. They were in the arcade area, and I would say there was probably 1 million of them. This was the program you got, and love how it's in the Defender artwork by Steve Hendricks. And it detailed everything, where everything was on Saturday and Sunday. And then your badge would look like an Atari 2600 cartridge Defender, which was a really nice touch. And then as one of the members of the INTV Brotherhood, I got my little badge here. I was proud to get that, even though it didn't grant me anything extra. It was just part of the geekdom. Now, I bought some artwork. It's going to show us that Mark Erickson. This is one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, and he did a bunch of these prints, and really beautiful. I love Tetris, so I picked this one out. There was he's done Galaga. He's done a few different things over the years, and then I had the pleasure of also meeting Steve Hendricks, who did the artwork that was being used for the PRGE, and he sold me this, and it came with a certificate of authenticity, and I got a little bit of video of that, the signing of that, although I didn't get his face right there. It's tough doing these recordings. So I picked up that one, and then a smaller, the Haunted Mansion version right there, and that one also came with the COA, and that one has a story that he talked about on his panel, the Haunted Mansion. And then these cards he was selling for $2.50 a piece. I thought they were cool. I don't know if I'll ever use them because I like to keep them pristine, but maybe one day I'll send that to somebody who's in the field. But I thought they were really cool. And Steve Hendricks, by the way, he was so nice, and he's like, oh yeah, you know, you need a signature on something? I'll be back here tomorrow. I was going to have him sign my Art of Atari book, but I couldn't find him on that Sunday. And that was his price sheet. It had all the pricing for the various things. So that big photo, or that big image, was $40. The Haunted Mansion, the smaller one, was $20. Not cheap, for sure. Now, these were the games that Atari Age is selling, or that are either out or are coming out really soon. And this is their catalog. I was able to pick up some of these right here. I'm going to go over. Now, the Super Cobra arcade I was able to get for free because I was a game tester, and I had John Champeau sign it, which was awesome, and he signed the cartridge as well. It's a terrific game. I have yet to play Space Canyon. It looks cool though. These are some of the games I was interested in, and then Draconian is obviously it's a great game by Daryl Spice Jr., who I met. He's so nice. He helped me out. He showed me some of his demos and things. And this was the 3D printout that the first 30 people got with the game. The 3D printout for Draconian. Revenge of the Mutant Camels, the Jeff Mentor series. This is one of the 3. Astrostorm. These are all 3 here for the Jaguar, the Atari Jaguar. And then Escape 2042, the Truth Defenders. And then I was just showing some of the games that I got signed here. I got John Champeau to sign Scramble for me. I got Ed Freeze to sign my copy of Halo, and he's so nice. He was very, very nice. And then I got Daryl Spice to sign Space Rocks, which I appreciated. And then I also brought in my collector's edition of Ladybug so that John Champeau could sign it. And I got Pac-Man signed. I was able to meet and have Todd Frye sign that. It was just a little signature there. And then Joda Cure got his signature, and he told a story about Video Olympics, which was really cool, right when we were signing. So I had him sign my cartridge and the box for both Video Olympics and Combat with my Gatefold edition, which I recently picked up off of eBay. And he's brilliant. He's like a professor in college and everything. Was able to meet and had got Howard Scott Warshaw's signature for Yar's Revenge and for E.T. the Extraterrestrial. And then moving on to the Intellivision Revolution, these are the games that they were boasting and had for sale at their booth over at the PRGE. And then they were also demoing a bunch of other games that are coming out supposedly early next year. And some of those are works in progress that need some tweaking and polishing. And so I just showed a few pages from the catalog, which Rev gave me for free. So normally I think that little catalog is $5. Now he owed me a copy of INTV Basic, which he gave me right there. And then these were the pins they were handing out. And then while I was there, I picked up Jaw Crusher for the Intellivision. Pretty much picked up what they had for sale. This was Oregon Bound, which I haven't had a chance to try these out. So I'm looking forward to throwing these in and seeing how good they are. And then Junior Pac-Man was one that a lot of people are waiting on, and it looks really good. So I can't wait to try that out. And then Moon Blast, I did not get to try that out. So I'm looking forward to it. And then while I was there, BBW sold me these 3 copies right here, or these 2, to help me finish my 125. And then while I was there, I've been wanting to get my hands on Miss Night Stalker and Super Chef homebrews. So I picked those up, and he had all of those for a good price. And then I forgot to mention Laser Sharks. It didn't have a box, but it came with a manual and cartridge. And I have yet to try that out, but it looks pretty cool. So all those were for Intellivision. And then here are the games that I didn't get signed. I had the opportunity, I missed David Crane's panel, and I didn't get his signature. But I did get Tim Lepetino's signature on the Art of Atari book, so that was cool. And then on one of the booths, I picked up this thing for $3, this little electronic game, which I'm into those. I thought that was cool. I met the 8-bit guy, and he signed a disc for me, which was really, he is so nice, very, very smart guy. Over at Michael Thomason, Good Deal Games, I met him, and he sold me Casey's Escape. It's the next game that came out from the original developer who developed the first 20 or so games. And it came with a patch and some things that was inside the cartridge there. It was really neat. And Michael, so very nice, like unbelievably nice. And so it was really nice to meet him. And then he also sold me a Sega Genesis game. I think this one was 30 of 30. So I'll be looking forward to looking at both of those games. And then he just threw in for free. He gave me this patch. And while I was there, he gave me that sticker, and then he gave me a good price on the Possible Mission, which is because the 7800 impossible mission's literally impossible. This one fixes that problem, and it's called Possible Mission. And then just for free, he gave me these magazines. Old School Gamer. He gave me a couple of copies of that, and very gracious gentleman. And go to Good Deal Games and buy some stuff. I met the developer for Con Games, and he sold me this 4-in-1 retro cartridge for the NES, and it has E.T. on it. I thought it was cool. It had Frogger, and then he has his own original game on there as well that he developed. And then The Incident, he signed both of these boxes. Another NES game called The Incident, Con Games. He was very, very nice. I was very happy to meet him. And then one of the booths, I just picked up a few for cheap, these Texas TI-99 4A cartridges. And I think Rev was selling these those reproduction old catalogs, so I picked those up. And that was pretty much it. So I hope you enjoyed. This is pretty much all the swag that I picked up at PRGE. If you watched this much of the video, I appreciate it. Thanks for watching.
Excuse me. Oh, sorry.
What it was like at Atari, but in any event, I thought this was super cool, but it was banned. So
preclude the whole mouse control thing anyway. So that's part of what I had to end up doing is figuring out a new user interface for a real-time strategy game.
And then Ali Russo. If you don't know who Al is, you absolutely should. He is considered by many to be the backbone of the classic gaming community online.
Product, hopefully. If you think about, I mean, an average game today could easily be 4 gig on disk or downloadable.
When the Atari came out, I was I think 3. Howard and I went to school together. No, seriously, first thing when you're that age, you start playing those games. You get excited about what was really fun to play.
It's really cool to see a kid who's probably never even seen a 20th Century before, playing adventure. Well, maybe not adventure, but they're homebrew games on my booth. But Pac-Man, I've got a picture from a show a long time ago where they were playing, Pac-Man on like the main version. But there's this little kid with a joystick playing the game, and it was, it's the same kind of wonder we probably had when we were a kid.
And it was neat, but that's a mechanic, right? That's a piece of it. A game has to be an overall experience where all the pieces come together in a way that's a pleasurable experience, right? Because something that's cool on the screen is cool for a couple of minutes, and then you've seen it, right? For a game to really work, it has to be for hours, if not days. And it's a different challenge. And that was cool. Atari was the challenges. There were things we had to do that nobody knew how to do. And so NBC and this production company goes to Infogrames and says, we want to make basically a 2-hour commercial for your product that will be on national television, and we'd like to pay you a couple $1 million to do this. And they said no. And like, what? They said no, because they said, well, no, this is going to be about like sex and drugs and rock and roll, and we don't want our product, video games, associated with it.
Stuck, and it'll just start going up and down and up and down. And if you're patient enough, all 4 ghosts get stuck in the tunnel.
I want to give back to the fans what I know, while I still remember what to tell them.
About the Easter egg in that one?
No, I was wondering about that actually.
You can't do it on the free play because it requires you to press all the buttons on the left-hand side and spin the right dial, if I remember this right, counterclockwise or clockwise when the credit screen is up. Not much of an Easter egg. It changes from saying, you know, Captain Ed Rocker to Captain Gabe's dad. We wanted to get our kids' names in there as well at that point.